Welcome back. When you're injured on the job, that can add enough stress to your life, and having to go through a run around with your insurance company is the last thing you need. Well, one company is helping the injured with claims. It's workers' compensation. Join me now with more are Tim Benedetto and Suzette Murphy. They are attorney partners. Welcome to the show.
Thank you for having us.
Thanks so much for coming on, and I am so glad we're talking about this because listen, we've all seen the commercials about workers' compensation, but Tim, I feel like we all have this preconceived idea what workers' compensation is. Let's really figure out what it is.
So basically, the law requires that every company has insurance to protect their workers in the event they're injured at work. And so if you are injured while working, the workers' compensation insurance has an obligation to pay you a percentage of your wages if you have to miss work, and they have to pay for any and all medical treatment that you're required.
Wow.
So the idea is that the worker won't have to come out of pocket for any medical expenses and will have something to live off of. And if you get in the situation where you wind up having some kind of permanent limitations, the law also provides you recovery on a 10-year basis as well.
And do most companies have this, or is it more just companies where obviously injuries are more common?
No, every employer is required by law to carry workers' compensation insurance.
Good to know. You hear that, WWL? You're lucky I'm sitting down right now, okay? And I'm so curious, if we do have to file a claim, Suzette, with workers' compensation, what does that process look like?
Well, what's supposed to happen is when you get injured on the job, you should immediately report it to your supervisor, to your job, and then that job is supposed to, your employer is supposed to send that over to the insurance company. Now, in our practice, a lot of times we see that that doesn't happen. It doesn't get sent over to the insurance company. So if that happens, people like us come in and we help set up the claim so that you have this smooth process to be able to get paid while you're out of work in recovery and to be able to get your proper medical treatment.
And it's hopefully quicker as well, because are they giving you that money up front, or they have to go through the whole investigation and that whole process before you can start paying those medical bills?
Correct. A lot of times what we see is there's this long investigation, you're subject to meeting with adjusters, meeting with other people, giving your side of the story, and then you're sitting here waiting to get paid, or you're getting a delayed in medical treatment. So what's supposed to happen is you're supposed to get quick benefits, quick medical treatment, and then be back at work so that your family is not suffering in the long run.
Correct. And unfortunately, sometimes that does not happen, like you all alluded to. That's why it's good to have a lawyer who is going to be on your side. And Tim, is it true that in some jobs that even when you retire, you're still eligible for these benefits? And then what about people who may be working like a plant, right? Who, let's be honest, things happen, right? How does that all work with workers' compensation?
Yeah, so workers' comp isn't limited just to physical injuries. If you have an occupational related disease, such as you develop lead poisoning, or if you develop carpal tunnel syndrome, those are all classified as an occupational disease. One of the recent developments in the law is we're finding that these individuals who have been working in plants for long-term periods of time, they develop hearing loss. And so if you're one of those individuals who you've retired and now you're starting to notice that you're having trouble hearing, you may actually be able to get compensated for the hearing loss claim even though you've already retired.
Really?
So we can get you your hearing aids paid for, and we may even be able to get you compensated for the loss of hearing even if you didn't realize that you had that injury until years after you retired.
That is good to know. And you know, as you all see on your screen right now, you also have a Social Security Disability Division. Suzette, you help lead that. Tell me about that.
Yes, I've been practicing Social Security disability for over 20 years. A lot of times, unfortunately, you get in a position where you might not be able to go back to your job, and you do have to apply early for Social Security disability benefits. And there are very specific laws that you have to follow as to when you have to apply and what you have to prove to the government to be able to apply for and get your benefits that you've been putting into all those years of working. So it's a very special area of the law that we do practice in, and you know, people do need those benefits.
And it's important that you all have that. Obviously, these are knowledgeable people who want to help you all succeed when it comes to workers' compensation. Because Tim, you work with a lot of people. What do you find is the common mistake, or what happens when someone tries to do all of this workers' compensation stuff by themselves without help?
One of the most important things to remember is that when you're dealing with an insurance company, the insurance company has a whole team of people.
Yeah.
That includes the claims adjuster, nurse case managers, claim supervisors, whose sole job is to pay you the least amount of money.
Wow.
And so when you're navigating a complicated system like the workers' compensation system, it's good to have somebody in your corner that's going to advocate for you and who knows this system like the back of their hand.
Like you two do. Look, two JDs on the couch right now. Thank you both for coming today. And look, everybody, if you would like to contact Workers' Compensation, give them a call, 504-838-8883, or head over to compman.com to set up an appointment. And also follow them on social media. All right, stick with